And honestly, this is the first time we've ever done anything like that to start the record. Usually the songs just come and we let the things develop and we
actually play together.
And we play together and then we discuss sounds after the fact. But even before lockdown, Henry and I had already started talking about what the next record could sound like.
Welcome to Season 2 of the Aloud podcast. In this season, Jen and Henry break down the writing and recording of the latest Aloud album, Apollo 6. Since they've lived the majority of their lives in Boston and Miami, bad language is liberally used. So if you're listening at work and have issues with foul words like fuck, shit, and Ted Cruz, you've been duly warned. Have it!
Okay, track 2.
Comeback Kid.
The Comeback Kid.
The Comeback Kid.
Yeah. So this was the first song that we wrote in June 2020, specifically for the record. This is kind of the song that that sort of kicked everything off. This was like, you know, I just had a lot of time on my hands, got my pedal board, set it up in the bedroom, through the little practice amp, I had my guitar, and I was just on this mission to create all these wild sounds with these different combinations of pedals. And I wanted riffs. And I was like, and I shall use a capo. and so that's what I did. I just kind of like sat there, like put the capo 4 frets up and was like, I'm going to come up with some kind of riff and put the crunchy distortion on and the tremolo, and that's, you know, after a few minutes came up with that ba-dum, 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 and I was like, all right, cool, I'm gonna write an entire song around this riff. And I remember in that setting, like the riff and then the chorus chords sort of popping out, and the bridge with the descending stuff. I don't know if all that happened on the same day or not. Might have like worked on it throughout the week.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think what happened was that was kind of like floating around in some form before.
No.
Not too much before.
No. No, because I remember that riff coming out of the pedal construction.
Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, I don't remember having the riff before having the pedal board at the house and messing around. So either way, it all came from that. You know what I mean? It didn't come before June of that year. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I remember being like, I have all this time on my hands. I'm going to sit here and write. And this was, you know, so it was very like, I will write a song now, you know. So I, you know, that all might have happened within a week or something. And at the end of that week, or at least somewhere in there, we took out a Saturday to go and write. I don't think we went to the rehearsal space, right?
Eventually.
Yeah. Okay. Because I remember doing some bedroom recording.
Yeah.
Right?
So here's what I remember.
Okay.
And this is what I'm not totally remembering, like, because there's, you know, stuff kind of bleeds in and you know, whatever. Like this might have been at the end of 2019 when this happened, but what I remember was you had that riff, that and it was like a Saturday we were here and we were like, oh, let's like fuck around with something. And I think after, like, especially after Sprezzatura, because like that was like such a big high watermark in a lot of ways, right? We were like, we need to rethink this, you know.
Yeah, just change the sound.
Just change it, because like we did it. You know, that thing, we did it.
That's a high watermark, right?
We need to move on. And what we did was like we had the riff, and I remember programming a real simple like just drum beat.
Yeah.
For like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and I remember ad-libbing.
And we looped it. Yeah, and then
lyrics.
and then we recorded the guitar, or you recorded the guitar, and then we plugged in a mic, and it was just like, all right, just go to town, just
sing whatever comes out. Yeah, okay. I don't remember when that was. Maybe it was just like, maybe I had that riff and like I did the pedals after that. I just remember the image of being in the bedroom and playing through the guitar amp and like the pedal boards, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I do remember ad-libbing all of those words. And, you know, kind of coming off a professional relationship we had that didn't pan out great, and sort of using that to kind of vibe out in the lyrics, and this idea of like, you know, the comeback kid coming back, you know, like kind of coming back as our own again and that sort of thing. And we did go to the space after that, I think maybe just to kind of finish fleshing it out, like really give it structure and finish the lyrics. Yeah,
because what I think we did was like we listened back to that like demo with like all the gobbledygook and the you know stuff, and like we're like, okay, let's like pluck out
stuff that,
you know, if there was like a phrase or something you said that was like interesting or like a melody.
Totally. I remember and I remember in the afternoons like sitting writing at this kitchen table and like listening back to that demo and being like, what's working? And like that feet don't fail me, you know. That's all from the ad-lib stuff.
I think we called it Feet Don't Fail Me initially. But yeah, like listening back to that demo, like not like recently, it reminds me of like, you know, like when we were watching Get Back and like Paul's writing Get Back. And you're frustrated because it's like, no, that's not the right word. You know, that's how I was like feeling, you know, it's like, oh, it's almost there.
It's almost there. Well, I remember like, okay, we went to the space and then we finished off the lyrics. We made a new vocal with like the new lyrics or whatever. And I remember getting out of there and like texting the band and being like, we've got a new song. Let's start talking about a new record, you know? That was like a Saturday afternoon, and it was like, let's fucking do it.
Because that was the first song we recorded.
Well, in the first thing that we like wrote for a new record in mind. Right.
Because like I remember then we you know you had texted everyone and we got on like a Zoom call. Which was the custom at the time.
Right, and this is just to discuss like, you know, ideas for sounds and where we wanted the record to go. Like this is and honestly, this is the first time we've ever done anything like that to start the record. Like usually the songs just come and we let the things develop and we
actually play together.
And we play together and then we discuss sounds after the fact. But even before lockdown, Henry and I had already started talking about what the next record could sound like. We had already had conversations and been very influenced by like, you know, Noel Gallagher's Who Built the Moon and listening to some like, you know, all
French pop.
echoey French pop stuff and things like this, and just getting a roomier sound. But that's the first time we have ever discussed that before the songs have even been written. Before there was even, you know, an idea of like, now we are going to start our next record. We'd already been thinking like, you know, because we've been sitting on Sprezzatura for a bit, and it's, you know, you already start thinking about, well, what could the next record sound like? What could we do? Because we've already done this. What could we do now? Because
I remember like on in that vein, like I remember like we were talking with like Chuck, or maybe I was just talking with Chuck, but you know, he was like, you know, and like rightfully so, like, you know, Sprezzatura is like a point of pride with him, where, you know.
Chuck is a drummer on Sprezzatura.
And a wonderful human being.
And a great friend.
But yeah, he's just kind of like, you know, partially as a nudge, because he's like still in Boston. He's like, what are you guys going to do now? You know, like, how are you going to top that? You know, and I was like, well, we can't. We got to do a lateral move.
Yeah.
You know,
just do something else.
we just got to,
like, try and make that record again and make it better. That's stupid.
Yeah. And I do think the answer plays in.
You gotta, we are the band that evolves. And like, even within the record, we evolve, and we don't stay in one thing,
Yeah.
Which basically every fucking artist does now. Every fucking artist does one kind of music, and the album sounds like that one kind of music.
Yeah.
And if you are not AC/DC,
yeah. Well, they nailed it.
They nailed it, and that's it. And I'm sorry, that is how it is now.
But yeah, the thing I remember about, and this is like just by virtue of this being the first run at like trying to record remotely and, basically figure out this whole process.
How is this going to work?
I remember we had the meeting like over Zoom.
Right.
So Chris has his own home, his studio at Shabby Road.
Right.
Charles has his studio, South Industries. Yeah. So we're very fortunate that like we
found ourselves in that
infinite record, like world-class recording.
We could make it happen. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
the question is how still.
Yeah.
Right?
So what we decided was like, okay, so, me and Jen, we'll record the demo to a click on Logic.
Right, and we'll just do scratch guitar, we'll do scratch vocal.
Yeah, we'll discuss the tempo. We'll put down scratch vocal, scratch guitar, everything. Send it to Chris and Charles and
Chris will
and
put
Elena
drums on it.
This is initially right. We were like, just send it to everybody, and everybody work on your part.
Did we?
Yeah. No, this is a vivid memory. This is what I was gonna say. It was just a fucking mess to deal with, and I was just really like not unhappy with people, but just at the situation.
But I don't think we got as far as tracking anything though, because we would have gotten disparate.
So Chris, whatever it was, like Chris tracked his drums.
Yeah.
Charles was tracking a bass to the demo.
Right.
Elena tracked a demo of the horns to the demo, so it was just it was such a balkanized,
one by one.
It was a balkanized process. And I just remember being on the couch here and like getting all these different emails from everybody with different parts.
No, that sucks.
And I just remember feeling so fucking bummed.
And distance.
It was like a lot, because then I was like feeling like I was like a manager.
Right.
Rather than someone that was like
an administrator.
Right. Yeah. I was like administrating like other people's.
Welcome to how I feel sometimes in this band all the time.
Yeah, but like just from basically the music is the most important thing, and that needs to be the thing to protect.
Yeah.
And it just felt like, it felt like out of necessity, because we're all separate, right?
Right.
So like from that point, I remember being like, it was like a couple days where I was just like, everything's fucked.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
And that was like, that was when Chris, when we emailed him and we were like, oh, is there any way, like if we just stay away from each other with masks, if we could just go to the space, this is like at the very beginning of all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, guys, like I do this for a living, like it's going to be fine.
Make this happen.
We can make this happen. We just need to like actually have like an order of operations here. So what we decided on was, you and me do the demo.
Right.
We send it to Chris and Charles. Chris puts like a scratch drum.
Right.
I get up at night, sweat and dew, 'cause the dread inside possesses you. Where the semen in my soul it stays, and it weighs me down by phantom anchor. Standing still, my mouth keeps running now. My gun seems to keep shooting on.
He calls us, right?
Yeah, or he'd email. Yeah, he'd be like, "What do you think?"
What do you? Is this like an okay part?
Right.
And we'll be like, that's great. And then he.
Yeah, or like we might, if we need to suggest some changes, then we might get on the phone and be like, "Okay, how about this or whatever."
Yeah, so then he'd record the actual drums after we were like, okay, this is good. And then that would kind of, he'd send it to Charles, and then Charles would put his bass down.
Right. And Charles might put because Chris is so used to it too, and Chris works fast the way I also kind of work fast writing songs. It's like, he'll, once he's in there, he'll get the idea
Yeah.
down, a few takes, and then the next day we'll have
Right.
the part or whatever. You know what I mean?
And with drums too, it's like, you know, once you get like a sound, that's kind of the
Yeah,
sound,
sure.
right?
But I'm talking with
Yeah.
the part, the actual part itself, you
Yeah.
know. And like he's pretty quick doing that. And then like Charles would take a little bit longer to schedule stuff, and then also that's just like his process, you know, especially
he'll
when
try
he's
stuff
alone.
out.
Like if
Yeah.
he's with us in there, he can move through it really quick and like, you know, bang it and like come up with something awesome. But like imagine Charles all by himself up there in the loft overthinking everything, and you know,
Yeah, I would
thinking of all
too.
this stuff. Yeah, I know, because you two are more alike that way, and Jago and I are more alike to each other, I think. But you know, the fact is, Charles came up with some of the most creative, best bass
Yeah.
lines he's ever played
Yeah.
on that record. Like it is astoundingly good. Like I listen to it still, and I'm just like, fuck me, that's great. That's really like really creative bass lines. You
Yeah.
know, I think at the beginning we stacked up a few songs, like 4 songs. And by like the end of 2020, it was like, all right, well, let's like, we know more about some of these rules, and we will bubble up in this sort of thing
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Charles, and we'd go over to his place and put guitars and vocals down.
Okay.
Yeah.
should put on the headphones.
Yeah, it is not a 57 kind of tone. It is a 421 kind of tone.
Well, I could have told you that.
Why didn't you? Could
I'm
save me
an
some
ass.
fucking time.
Let's not forget your little Mondegreen in the second verse.
Cement. I still don't hear it.
Please explain what we are doing right now.
ADR.
So we're saying cement in the Comeback Kid. Except when you sing it, you can't really enunciate the T. So it sounds like
Come.
And the jizz in my soul.
But not that little T, it's just so different, you know?
they're just sailors. Sailors in your mouth, sailors in your mouth.
And that's what Thanksgiving
It's
is all about.
I'm not even gonna know what to do. It's like,
Yeah. Let's try it.
Don't overdo it.
Alright.
well, the seamen in my
Oh, well, overshot.
Came too early.
well, the seamen in my soul.
There you go.
That sounds very fucking weird. And then, you know, we'd take those tracks, and then at that point have a meeting with Elena to discuss some horn parts and stuff. So we'd do like a sketch with some MIDI horns. We send it to her, have a phone call, make some changes. She'd do the sheet music or whatever, and then at least we couldn't do the horns until we all got vaccinated and that. But at least we'd have the parts ready. Like we could work on what it's going to sound like when we go into the studio together.
Yeah.
We can go up the same sections as I recorded.
So 1 through 43.
Got it. We're keeping that, aren't we?
Yes.
Right, here we go. You ready?
And but I think that's basically it for Comeback Kid.
Yeah, that was like a trial by fire, but like it got us like on the path to like our process, you
And
know.
look, it also it started us off with like the sound effect stuff,
Right,
With
right,
the
right,
gunshot, because we knew we wanted to use sound effects a lot on the record. It started us off with even using some synth stuff that like we used that sound at the. I love that sound at the very end of the tracks.
Whatever that thing is.
That thing is that ends that song, you know, stuff
Yeah.
like that. A lot of that, like extra synthy stuff, overdub stuff, would just go on with the scratch tracks that we'd send to Chris, because Henry and I would just have time to just
Yeah. Well, some
try
of the-
out,
Yeah.
all the sound effect stuff actually got put on at the very beginning.
Yeah. No, there's stuff that like stuck from the demo, because like the sessions, the session files were just that, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm really happy with this one. It turned out really cool.
What do you want me to say?
in the next episode of the Aloud podcast.
It's just a very big song. It's a very big moment. But I remember just listening to like rough mixes even of what we were doing, driving around in the car and listening to that and just like feeling really happy. But this was the one also that when we were like trying out people to mix this record, it was like, give them this track because it's going to be the hardest, the hardest to mix.
Apollo 6 is out now on vinyl, compact disc, and digital formats at aloud.bandcamp.com. Put the stank on it.